Once you see these live TV moments, you won't be able to forget them. These disturbing moments happen on air, and literally nothing could stop them. Subscribe now because these moments get chillier and crazier as we navigate them. Chile market shooting.
Police with various objects and were met with water cannon in response. Local police backed the officer who shot the 27-year-old, claiming he fired to safeguard his own life in legitimate self-defense.
During a live broadcast in Chile, police were busy detaining a troubled woman who refused an ID check outside a market. The police had a strong grip, and the woman had her hands behind her back, and everything seemed normal when all of a sudden, she sneaked up to the officer's back and pulled a gun from his holster. And before it was too late, the woman had already fired multiple shots randomly. She injured 3 people right at the spot, including a cameraman filming the scene. Thankfully, all of them survived, but the woman was later arrested and charged with aggravated battery on a police officer, with this shocking moment going viral all over the internet. Ecuador live broadcast attack.
In multiple cities, this one engulfing a police car. The wave of violence beginning just hours after Ecuador's president declared a state of emergency, following a prison escape by notorious...
The El Noticiero broadcast in Ecuador became a total nightmare in 2024, and I'll tell you why. Literally thousands of viewers were watching this live broadcast when suddenly they got hijacked by numerous gunmen wearing masks, rifles, grenades, and even bombs. They came inside the studio and put journalists and staff on the floor who were begging for their lives. The audience watched it all happen on air. One assailant even lived his main character moment and said, "You cannot play with the mafia." This incident led the government to take serious action against organized crime groups. Brazil police shooting incident. This incident showed 2 teenagers in trouble, and while what they did was wrong, the police took it way too far. It all happened in Brazil when 2 teenagers stole a motorcycle in the busy streets of Brazil. The police started chasing them, and the chase was quite intense. The bike was speeding through traffic, and the police stayed behind the teenagers. Eventually, one officer got a bit too close. The officer took his gun out, fired at the bike, which eventually crashed. Even after the teens fell, officers didn't stop the firing. Thankfully, both teens survived, but they were severely injured. Reporters shot live. Back in 2008, during the Russia-Georgia war, a reporter was doing her job, reporting news. She prepared to go live near the city of Gori for a war report. And while it's dangerous to be in an area that's under the threat of war, it seemed weirdly peaceful until it wasn't. Right when the reporter was airing the report live, a gunshot came straight at her. It shot her arm and she flinched. After a single shot, many others came following. You could see her struggling with her arm, yet still she continued to report, but this time from a safer location. The magic trick that went wrong.
Zrobimy tak, zrobimy na 3, dobrze? Uważaj.
Raz, dwa...
This incident took place in Poland, where a magician was performing in front of a bunch of audience. His magic trick was extremely risky, as he put a sharp nail inside paper bags. The magic trick here was to avoid the bag with the nail and slam your hands on it. When the magician tried showing his magic and grabbed the host's hand, slamming it down, his trick went horribly wrong. The nail went straight into the host's hand. She screamed in front of the audience. And instead of stopping immediately, the magician decided to pull the nail out while being live on TV. The host was later rushed to the hospital and recovered. Kevin Ware injury. This might be one of the most painful clips to watch. Louisville player Kevin Ware was playing basketball in front of hundreds of audience members. He did his thing, jumped to block the ball from going in the net. But as he landed on his foot, his leg did him bad. It bent in a way it shouldn't have. This is the nightmare of any basketball player out there. Kevin's bone was visibly protruding through his skin, and everyone watched it happen live. The broadcast had stopped immediately because it was too disturbing to watch. Kevin was taken to the hospital. Thankfully, he recovered, but this moment became one of the most disturbing live TV moments in history. Emergency escape.
大丈夫ですか？大丈夫ですか？なんかカチャカチャ。でも皆さん見とくと災害の時にね。
どうぞ。どうするのそうやって。外出てくの？
ちょっと待って。大丈夫です。行きます。はい。
This is the tragic story of Fuji TV announcer Yukino Kakuma, who was demonstrating an emergency escape device. She was supposed to show how people could take the emergency exit and descend from a high building, but it went wrong in the worst way you could imagine. She was on the 5th floor window attached to the equipment while cameras recorded everything live, but her equipment failed. Yukino fell from 5 floors, and for a moment, her body didn't move. And while she did survive, she still suffered a serious spinal injury. After this incident, the TV station realized that it needed to change its safety rookie rules. Before we head to one of the most disturbing live TV moments, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on what comes next, the accidental discovery.
Como hay unas zapatillas de color blanco, unos pantalones beige, que se encuentran ahora mismo entre los dos cajones, quiero que lo observen, creo que lo estáis viendo ahora mismo en imagen. Nosotros hemos podido hablar con sus amigos, como van a poder comprobar ahora mismo. Hay una camisa verde.
Alvaro Prieto, an 18-year-old footballer, had vanished near a train station. It had been days since he had gone missing. A Spanish TV crew was reporting his disappearance at the station where he had disappeared. Suddenly, something strange happened. The crew came across a dead body wearing the same clothes as Alvaro Prieto. Investigators found the body, and the police confirmed it was indeed Alvaro Prieto's. He tried to cross the tracks but was electrocuted. The recovery. This is the tragic story of a Miami couple. Initially, the police were supposed to look for a missing person in Miami. On a live news broadcast with helicopters filming, the police pulled a car out of a canal that had been missing for days, and people expected answers. As they got the car out, they confirmed identities. They found a young couple who had disappeared days earlier. This moment was caught live, and it was such a heartbreaking story for them. The morning interview. This is the story of Mario Urena, the famous Dominican broadcaster, who was called on a show to speak about the public transport issue. Now, morning shows can go wrong in a lot of ways, but this one went wrong in the worst way one could ever imagine. Mario sat there, addressing public issues, when all of a sudden he went completely quiet. A few moments later, he collapsed on set. The broadcast was cut off, and a few seconds later, the news of his death was made public. It turned out that Mario suffered a heart attack in the middle of his program and died on air. The final lap. This incident shows the tragedy of a racing legend, Dale Earnhardt Sr., who was helping his team secure the first spot in the final lap. As cars were flying through the track with little to no distance, Dale's vehicle completely lost control and crashed straight into the front wall at high speed. At first, it didn't seem like it was a serious crash, and soon emergency cars rushed to him. And later, it was confirmed that the racing legend had died from severe injuries. 2010 Winter Olympics training crash. Winter Olympics, competition, and players' intensity go hand in hand. This is the story of a young Georgian athlete who was training for the Winter Olympics on a high-speed track. He had completed several rounds before, but on the last round, the player entered a turn way too fast. It caused him to lose control, crash, and literally get thrown off the track. He hit a metal structure, and while he was taken to the emergency room instantly, he couldn't survive. Live helicopter crash. In Los Angeles, a news helicopter was following a stolen motorbike, and it seemed like a cat and mouse play with the rider speeding at over 100 miles per hour. Suddenly, when he reached an intersection, he crashed badly into a vehicle. The impact was so violent that he couldn't survive. The people watching it live were shocked. The incident, caught live, quickly became viral and showed how high-speed bike chases can turn deadly even when the police try to avoid directly pursuing the drivers. Manila bus hostage. In 2010, a hostage situation happened in Manila. A gunman took control of a bus that had a lot of tourists. The police tried to negotiate with the gunman, but one of them made a huge mistake. The gunman inside the bus was watching the live coverage, and he saw the police arresting someone. This caused the gunman to break fire and kill multiple hostages at once. The Waco Inferno. A really sad event happened in Texas that people will never forget. In a compound, a religious group led by David Koresh hid illegal guns and some children. When the police found out about it, they confronted the group, and it turned into a big fight with guns. This lasted for 51 days. The police stayed outside in tanks. However, on the last day, the government decided to end it. They used big machines to poke holes in the walls and spray tear gas. The gas started a fire, resulting in 76 deaths. The Black Wave. Everyone has heard of the deadly earthquake that struck Japan in 2011. While TV networks were live. Cameras showed buildings shaking and people reacting to the earthquake in real time. Some of them were helpless and others ran for their safety. Just a few moments later, massive waves hit the coast of Japan and they swept away numerous cars, buildings, and destroyed communities. This also triggered a nuclear crisis, which forced thousands of Japanese to evacuate instantly. Christmas Day trial. One Christmas, the world witnessed the rapid downfall of Romania's longtime dictator, Nicolae Ceausescu, and his wife, Elena. After a violent revolution, the couple tried running away, but were eventually caught by the army. Instead of dragged out legal processes, they were giving a court-martial, a trial that lasted less than an hour. The two were found guilty of crimes against the state and genocide. Shortly after, they were taken outside and executed by a firing squad. Live basement transfer. A few days before President John F. Kennedy's assassination, the man behind his killing was being transferred on camera. As he was being led to the basement, a man suddenly stepped forward to shoot him at a super close range. The basement was filled with chaos, and while police tackled the attacker, it was too late for the suspect. He was lying there, dead. Smith Mountain Lake shooting. It was a normal live morning news segment, or at least it was supposed to be. A reporter and cameraman were interviewing someone by a lake. All of a sudden, a gunman came out of nowhere. He approached them from behind and started firing. The attack happened so quickly, and the camera captured everything. Both the reporter and the cameraman lost their lives right there and then.